beautiful early evening in October. It's in the 70s. Didn't expect that. It was actually colder in my house. I stepped outside around 4:30 and couldn't believe how warm it was. I looked at my wife and she's like, yeah, we're going for a ride. So here we are. So I watched a vlog by NC Stoney today. His thoughts on the passing of Tom Petty. If you don't know NC Stoney, check out his vlogs on YouTube. Good guy to watch. A guitar player. I've been playing guitars for I think 20 years next March. But I'm pretty much a loner. I play with friends on occasion, but not a lot. Anyway, yeah, Tom Petty definitely shocked me. Was not that old. And it just made me think about a lot of things musically. I always loved music from as young as I even could recognize what music was. I had a little AM transistor radio that had a 9-volt battery, and I would lay in bed after lights out with this thing on the lowest possible volume with my ear up to it, and somehow my parents would still hear it, which was amazing. And they'd say, you know, turn that off and go to bed or we're going to take it away from you. And that would be the worst, to have that taken away. But it wasn't until early teens, maybe like 11, 12, that I really became conscious of like real music. In fact, I will never forget, we were on a weekend in the Poconos and one of my brother's friends came with us and he brought his stereo. It's funny, do people have stereos today? He brought his stereo and he brought the Rolling Stones Through the Past Darkly, which was a kind of a best hits thing. I listened to that thing all weekend. I couldn't believe what I never heard anything like it. It was just the most amazing music. And I was a rabid Stones fan from that moment on. And by the time I was out of high school, I knew every Rolling Stones song there ever was played, or recorded, I should say. So I've always been into rock and roll, British stuff, and I was never a huge Tom Petty fan, but the thing is, he was always there from the very early on. Now, I grew up in Philly, and we had two big competing radio stations, 93.3 WMMR and 94.1 WYSP. And Philly was just an amazing place for music. We had a stadium, it was JFK Stadium. The Philadelphia Eagles used to play there. It was this old place, and it had like a horseshoe shape to it. In fact, Live Aid in 1985, the Philadelphia part was played in that stadium. We had concerts, like I remember the Stones came and they had 2 or 3 dates on a weekend, and they brought in 80 or 90,000 each day. It was just a sea of people. And so that was kind of the stuff I grew up around. And we had so much music in our area. Hall & Oates were from Philly. Joan Jett was from the town next to mine, Lansdowne. And Todd Rundgren went to the high school I went to, but he was about 10 years before me, or maybe a little more than that. So a lot of musical stuff around. Jim Croce is from not quite near there, but in Pennsylvania. So anyway, Tom Petty was on the radio all the time. Probably the earliest songs of his I remember, Breakdown. That's such a unique song. What song could you compare that to? It has that bass line that slides down the neck. And I just, from preteen onward, there just was always Tom Petty. And one of the things after he passed, I went online and started reading up, and I watched the documentary on Netflix. If you haven't seen it, find a way to see it. It's Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, Running Down a Dream. It's 4 hours long, and it is absolutely fabulous. So when I was reading up on his history and watching that, I just couldn't believe how many really good hit songs he had over the years. It's like I knew all these songs, but I never really put it together. The string of great songs that this guy did. And so that was really impressive. I loved the Traveling Wilburys. I absolutely loved that. And it's really sad to think that Roy Orbison, George Harrison, and Tom Petty are gone. I mean, 3 of those guys. So that was definitely something I really liked that he did. And the other thing was just what he did for other musicians in terms of his dealings with record companies. The way record companies and movie production companies treat their people, their artists, it's a crime. It really is. And there's been so many stories of people like John Fogerty, someone else, I love his music, where he had to go and sue for the right to play his own music. I mean, can you think of anything more idiotic than that? But these young musicians were so excited and eager about getting signed and getting a record deal, they probably would have signed anything he stuck in front of them. And they really got screwed over by these record companies. And so one of the things that is covered in the documentary is how Tom Petty basically was like, no, I ain't doing it. I'm not going by this. It's my Harley dealer, Bear. And he won. They ended up settling when the record company realized they were going to lose. And what he did paved the way for so many others to get out from the heavy hand of that kind of thing. And so I really appreciated that. But, the kind of life story that some of these people like him have, where they set their minds to something, I'm going to do this, and it just doesn't matter what happens to them, they find a way to do it. That's one of those things that I've always admired about people. But it's been a rough period of time in recent years with great people that are part of your childhood musically departing, and that's always hard. For me, as much as I loved the Rolling Stones, I kind of got away from them around the time I got married, which would have been 85. I still heard their music on the radio, but I don't think I purchased any of their records after that. I still love them, their music, especially their earlier music. But I really got into Eric Clapton around the time I started playing. I always wanted to play, and I don't know why I waited until I think I was 32 or something like that. Yeah, 32. And I really wish I had started younger. But around that time, and even to this day, Eric Clapton is like the Rock of Gibraltar in my music journey. And as much as I have great enjoyment and respect for others like David Gilmour of Pink Floyd and John Fogerty, who I mentioned, and other musicians, there's just something about Eric Clapton that, you know, the morning that I find out he's passed on, that will be an emotional experience. Back to Tom Petty. Really just sad to have great talents like that not be here anymore. It'll be weird knowing that there won't be any more new Tom Petty music. But I really appreciated NC Stoney's thoughts on that, because a lot of the things he said are things that I felt about music and songs that have been part of your life for literally decades, 4 or 5 decades. So I just wanted to throw that out there. I was just gonna post a comment on his video, but as you can tell, I had a little more to say than a comment's worth. So check out his site or his channel, and I hope everyone is enjoying the dwindling days of the 2017 riding season. By the way, this is Honesdale, PA, pretty old town, and just going through here and going to jump on a nice long country road. I got about maybe an hour of daylight left, and I probably won't have many more days like this, so I'm making the most of it. Till next time.